Hey, this is Periwinkle, and this is going to be a pretty long video, so be ready for that. I'll mostly be going over the route and like where to drive and stuff in this video, so it's not going to be a lot of like really specific tricks or anything. I'll also in the description put links to the image with the checkpoints for the run, and also to the Breath of the Wild category extensions Discord, where in the Hyrule Black Challenge channel, you'll find the object map route file. While the run that I am commentating right now is currently the world record while recording this, it's nowhere near perfect, so I might point out a couple of things that aren't quite right. Anyway, enjoy. The bike challenge is a run that at first kind of feels like a joke. You spend like 40 minutes driving to a series of checkpoints around the map, shown on this image, which I'll definitely remember to put on the screen in editing. However, despite being shoved to both extensions and ILs, it's a pretty optimized category with a lot of nuance. So the first important concept in the run is avoiding airtime. So if the bike is in the air, it's probably not moving forward at full speed, and so you're losing time. To like stop this from happening, during certain sections you'll hold forward on the joystick. Not always, because that will slow you down more. And also at some points you'll release the A button or whatever you've bound to accelerate for a tiny bit in order to slow down so you don't like jump and lose time. The next important concept is time of day. So if you're making a separate Hyrule Black Challenge file, you either want to avoid time of day altogether with the SOR clip, avoid talking to Impa so that dragons don't spawn, or in the case you're like me and just using a casual file, make a save in Lurelin Village at about 5 or 6 p.m. in-game time, as you can see here. This will keep Pharos from spawning on Floria Bridge, but also adds a slight risk of shot keys afterwards. Usually they spawn far enough away that you can dodge them, and they won't kill your run as often as Pharos will. So it's kind of a choose your poison kind of thing. And finally, the bike has a limited amount of fuel. So once you have the route down, you should only have to refuel 5 times in a run. But places that you do will probably differ from where I do in this recording, because it's really just down to how optimal your lines end up being. As long as you're in about the same area, there's not really any problems. So to refuel, I use 3 Monster Extract and 1 Wood, because Monster Extract multiplies other items. And to optimize the menuing, I made sure to put Monster Extract at the end of my inventory and not sort it so that it's right next to the wood. You can just do this by either selling all of your Monster Extract and then buying more, so that it'll be right at the end of your inventory menu, or by throwing it on the ground and picking it back up, which achieves the same thing. So, enough talking, let's actually get into the real run. Timing starts on the frame that the A prompt to mount the bike is all the way lit up. So yeah, let's get started. Actually, right at the very beginning, you'll have to contend with dog RNG. So you'll see, you basically have to start turning right as you reach this, this wooden plank here, so that the dog doesn't screw you over. Actually, in this run, I did not get very good dog RNG. He ended up kind of to the right of me, over here. However, I was able to save it. But sometimes you're able to turn like all the way next to the dog over here, and that's a lot better. So it's already the first thing that didn't go so great. Once you're out of Lurelin Village, I like to stay kind of in the center of the road here so that it gives me a better angle. And then you're going to immediately start cutting across these cliffs. Or not cliffs, but like these hills over here. So you can see that I'm kind of driving off the road. This is just because it cuts the corner a little bit tighter. And throughout most of this area, you're going to be wanting to hold forward on the joystick. So you can see on the input display that I'm holding forward. And then right here, you'll release A for a second so that the bike doesn't go too far off the ground. Just keep driving along here, and then take this hill. You're actually going to go up this hill right here. You'll want to hold right like a tiny bit as you're going up the hill to keep the bike from sliding down. I'll just show that again. See, as you can see on the input display, I'm kind of holding a little bit to the right so that the bike doesn't slide down the hill. And then also making sure to avoid this bump over here, because that'll bonk you and that's not fun. Once you're up here, you're gonna want to be looking for this like area over here. There's kind of like, it's hard to see in this recording, but there is kind of like a big rectangular rock near my mouse here. You're going to want to aim pretty much straight for that and just go straight forwards towards that. The proper path will take you through here and actually over this gray hill and back up next to the road. And you'll just keep going straight there. See, now you can see the rock. It's this right here at my mouse. And once you reach it, you're going to want to cross to the other side of the road to avoid the, like, rocks in the road, because they'll bounce the bike, and that's not fast. So as you can see here, I cross over to the other side, and then you're going to want to skim across the edges, don't get bounced. Then you go in between this pillar and this tree, so we're going to cut off the road right here. Just continue straight, and this is kind of tight, but you'll squeeze in between the pillar and this rock, and then turn right onto the edge of the bridge. Once you're past this plank here, you're going to swerve over to the inside of the turn. The thing is, that plank will like bounce you in the air, and it's really slow and annoying. You'll stick to the inside of the turn, but make sure to dodge the similar plank right here on the other side of the bridge. And then you'll head towards kind of the left side of the exit of the bridge and jump over these rocks, because they suck and they'll kill your run. From here, you'll just kind of stick to the edges of the road. First, we stay on the right side of the road until you reach here. Then you'll go across these rocks, because they're less bouncy than the other ones, and go to the left side of the road instead. Don't run into Beetle, he'll slow you down. So yeah, we'll stay on the left side of the road for a while. Do a better job avoiding bouncy things than I did in this run. Yeah. Anyway, once you're reaching here, you'll see this kind of like flat area. You're going to actually leave the road again and basically aim for this plant here. It kind of looks like a horse when you're not paying attention. But yeah, that's where you're going to drive pretty much straight forwards. Don't run into this brick. I've run into this brick a lot. It's really annoying, so make sure you're left enough that it doesn't kill your run. So once you get here, you're going to turn left and fall down this cliff. So then you're going to drive there. Then go to the right of this structure. Don't run into it, because that's slow. Make sure to dodge shock keys. See, I talked about shock keys in the intro. There's one right there, obviously. I pretty narrowly avoided this one. Usually they don't spawn right here, so I wasn't really prepared for it. But yeah, dodge that. You're going to want to drive along next to this cliff. Once you see the ox rocks start to pop up, you're going to turn really sharply to the right. So you can see, you shouldn't get hit, but even if you do, if you have the right armor on, you won't take knockback anyway. So you might have to actually slow down a bit to get up the cliff. You're going to drive up through this like valley thing. And once you get to the top, take a left and go up this grassy hill so that you don't run into the rocks and get bounced. As you're going along here, stick to the right of this tree. I like to run into the truffle, because sometimes it curses my runs and sometimes it doesn't. You can't actually see it here because it hasn't loaded in. There is a truffle there, so you saw the like hit effect. There it is. Anyway, I like to run into that for luck. You don't have to. Anyway, now you're going to go down this hill, and to the left of this tree here, make sure to dodge shot keys. This is another place they can spawn in. Right of this tree, and then you're going to head up this grassy hill here. And once you reach this gray area, like here, then you're going to start turning slightly to the left, so that when you come out on top, you're pointed towards this gap in the trees over here. You kind of want to stay a little bit to the right of center of this gap, and just drive straight towards that. There can be horses up here sometimes, just make sure to don't run into them. Once you get here, you're going to drive through these trees. You're going to hit the left one and break it, and fall down here onto this flat ledge. With luck, you should land completely flat on the ground. Hopefully. So I did that here. Now, here comes the hard part. You're going to not jump. You're going to fall down here. Once you land, you're going to aim for this log, and you're going to jump over it without doing a wheelie. So you're just going to do a regular jump by pressing the L button. Once you land, again, you're going to drive towards like this tree root, the center of it. Once you get there, you're going to jump and then turn to the right so that you don't run into this, and you also don't run into the tree. Once again, you're not going to do a wheelie here, you're just going to do a regular jump. It's very easy to get stuck here. This is a really hard part of the run, so don't be, like, mad if it trips you up, because it even tripped me up a little bit here, and this is a good run. Anyway, so now that we're back on the road, you're going to follow the road for a very short period of time until you see this log here. You're going to turn off the road in between the log and the giant tree and head off this way. You'll drive next to this Octorok and this kind of medium-sized tree. Once you get to the medium tree, you're going to turn left and then aim towards basically the left tower of the Bridge of Hylia here, because it'll set you up for the best angle. Yeah, so then once you get here, you're going to drive over this and then go up this hill. Just kind of just find your own way. And then make sure to go to the right of this apple tree. It's a little faster. And then get on the bridge. I prefer to split right when like my front tire touches the Bridge of Hylia because the name shows up really early. So that's that. This is a 328 Hylia, which is actually really good. Usually I get like 329 or 330. So right, and once you're on the bridge, you're actually going to stick to the left, kinda. Or start going towards the left, because you're basically going to want to deviate from a straight path as little as possible. So you're going to turn a tiny bit to dodge the fountain, then turn a tiny bit back to get back on a straight path, and then start heading straight for the door over here. And yeah, it's kind of boring. So once you get to this door, as soon as you can see it, you're going to aim for the right edge of this rock. It's kind of like this sloped rock here under my mouse. You're going to aim for that and just drive straight again. There's a lot of driving straight in this run, get used to it. So yeah, you're going to make a left turn around this and then aim for the left edge of this slope here. At the top of this, you can release A for a second to get rid of speed so that you don't fly into the air. After that, you're going to aim for the edge of this cliff. And once again, drive straight. Surprise, surprise. Now you're just going to kind of drive this way. This is something you're going to have to figure out for yourself because there's not a lot of good visual cues here. But you just drive in this general direction. You can cut a little more to the left than I did. Now you're going to want to go in between this pile of rubble and this short wall. And then once you're past the tall wall, take a hard left and go in between these two walls. This is kind of a hard turn because it's hard to see. So I'd recommend practicing this a lot just to kind of get a feel for it. Once you're through there, you're going to go in this path in the trees. This is kind of a hard spot because the trees are so close to each other. But yeah, just make sure not to hit them. And you're going to drive through this small tree and break it. Don't get gimped by world loads. It's kind of RNG, but world loads really suck and they can lose you a lot of time. For example, in this run, I lost almost all my 1.5 seconds of time saved to that world load. Now you're going to aim for this kind of pile of rocks here once you're past a small tree. Just going to drive towards that. And once you get there, hope you don't get bounced around. I got bounced around a lot. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It's just something you get used to. And then right afterwards, you aim for like the edge, this corner here. Because we're basically trying to take like as short of a path around the plateau as we can without dying. So you do that. Basically, you're just going to drive towards the edges of the next piles of rubble. So you can see the edge of the pile of rubble there. That's what I'm aiming for here. Drive past the helpless Yiga member. Then here, you're just going to aim for the edge of the cliff. This is an area, right, while you're driving around the cliff, where you're going to basically just have to determine where you want to hold forward and let go of A and stuff. Because it's a pretty bouncy area, and it's something, it's just hard to explain when to do it. So, that's just something you should practice and get used to. Once you're past this cliff, you're going to drive up, basically take a straight line through Untitled Stable towards this bridge that you can see on the mini-map here. At the top of this hill, you can release A for a second, so you don't go too high into the air. But it's not, like, strictly necessary. I did it there anyway. And basically, yeah, you're going to hope there's no NPCs in your path and just drive straight forwards. Actually, here I turned a little bit to the right because I was too far left. You're going to basically want to drive up this part of this hill here. Right there. And just make a straight line for that bridge on the minimap. And this brings us to our first refuel. So, if you haven't by now, you should be refueling basically on this bridge once you're doing optimally. So you're going to hold B to brake until the bike is almost stopped. Then once it's close to stopping, you're going to press X to jump off. You can see I press X. Once Link has both of his feet on the ground, you're going to press plus to enter the menu. As you can see there. Enter the menu, press X to hold, and then hold your 1 wood and 3 extract. Exit the menu, then you're going to turn around to the side of the bike. You can refuel from the front, but it's kind of not very consistent. You're going to walk around to the side of the bike, make absolutely sure the fuel prompt is there, and press A, and now you're just going to mash A until Link gets back on the bike. And then hold A to continue forward. So refueling is kind of something you just have to practice. It's pretty specific, and you can gain and lose a lot of time on refuels. For example, by throwing the items onto the ground instead of into the bike. But yeah, here you're just gonna drive forwards up this hill until you see this like grassy spot right here. You're gonna turn to the right and go up this hill. Here's another really difficult part of the run, by the way. So you're gonna go up this hill, go in between like this kind of outcropping and this one. Then take the thing that looks like a road, and you're gonna go up here and drive up that. So I'll go back and show this again. So this is really difficult. It takes a lot of practice to do, and I don't know how to explain it super well. But basically, the only tips I can give you are don't turn too far left. You may be tempted to like turn left to stay on the hill, but you're really gonna only want to hold. Really only gonna want to hold left just a very tiny amount, if at all. Like you can see how tiny of an amount I moved the left stick there, right at the end. And then once you're at the top, it's safe to hold left all the way. Like once you're past about this point here. Yeah, that's pretty much just something you have to teach yourself. It's a really hard thing. Feel free to ask in the comments and I'll try to explain it better, but I don't really know how to talk about it very well. Anyway, once you're at the top of this, you're gonna go around this rock and then go over this hill and set a straight course past this tree, like on the right side of this tree. And then once you can see it, you're going to drive towards like the edge of this hill here. So there is actually a checkpoint at Sandoden Park Ruins, but you can get the location name to appear about here. So you're going to drive towards here until the location name appears, and then kind of turn back to the left. Now you're going to want to aim for this bridge. You can't, this is a kind of difficult thing. You're going to go in between these rocks and then aim for the bridge. It's hard to see the bridge, so you're basically just going to drive towards it on the minimap. Yeah, sometimes it's raining here, which makes it really hard to see. But there's not a lot of way to lose time unless you get really, really lost, like going completely the wrong way. Don't fall in the hole in the bridge. I've done this before. It's infuriating. Alright, once you get to the end of the bridge, you're going to turn left. You're going to not run into this rock, however invisible it may seem. And you're going to strike a path for like this like corner thingy here. You're going to want to go to the left of this hill slightly, and then make sure not to fall down there. You're going to go around this and then aim for the right side of this tree. There are mushrooms here too that I also like to run into. As you can see, I launched them into space. You're basically just going to keep going straight past this Boko camp. The Bokos won't kill you. Don't worry, you're fast. Once you're over here, you're going to look for this green spot on the hill and drive towards that, because it will not give you airtime if you do it properly. And now you're just going to basically drive straight forwards across the road and down into like the nasty canyon area over here. Don't run into this rock either. I do that all the time. Yeah, so here you're going to hold slightly left so you don't bounce too much. You're going to go around this rock and then basically just set a straight path forward this way. There's not a lot of visual cue for this one, or it's hard to see. But yeah, you basically just don't want to go too high up on this slope because it'll lose you time. So you want to stay close to the bottom, but also take as tight of a turn as you can. See, I got bounced around a bit there. Anyway, now you're going to drive past these plants. And then another thing with very little visual cues, you're just going to kind of drive straight towards the stable. Like towards the right side of the stable icon, kind of. It's hard to tell where to go exactly. Once you can see the stable, though, you're gonna go around, like, the horse area. Make sure not to bonk here, because I do that all the time, also. If you take too tight of a turn, you'll just run into it and kill the run. And you're going to enter onto the bridge. I split right when I touch the bridge. Or I try to, anyway. See, right there when I touch the bridge, that's when I split. Now you're just gonna kind of drive across the bridge and not fall into the holes, once again. But you are gonna kind of want to stick to the right side. Here we are coming up to another very difficult part of the run that I would suggest practicing a lot. So, you're going to go off the road to the right pretty much immediately after the bridge, and you're going to aim towards this gravel slope. You're going to aim towards kind of the left side of it, because once you're there, you're going to want to take kind of a sweeping turn to the right to go up this hill. This is hard to do precisely. As you can see, I even kind of ended up on the cliff a little bit. So I'd suggest this is the first thing of many to practice, like where you're going to turn and how much. So I didn't land perfectly on the ground even in this run. Once you get past that, you're going to go around this cliff and aim for this lump right here, basically. You can see you're going to want to go off the edge right there. So basically aim for this bump once you can see it. But then once you can see this, you're going to aim for this like area, this lighter colored area. You're going to fall off the cliff here. Don't worry, there's a lot of space to land. It may not look like it, but you have a pretty wide landing area. You're just going to drive forward along the edge of the canyon. You're going to not go towards the rock like I did. So as you can see here, I go into the rock and have to swerve around. You don't want to do that. You want to be pointing slightly more to the right, but not so much that you fall off. It's really precise. Don't do this. Once you're around the rock, you're going to go towards this way. Once you're about here, you're going to wheelie and then jump. See, this doesn't look very far in the run. It's a long way. This is kind of a difficult jump. You can actually cut the jump shorter if you need to by going across more like over here, or just going around it altogether, and you will not lose that much time. So now what you're going to do is you're going to swerve to the right if you're at an angle like I am. You basically want to aiming towards this rock. And just drive up this hill. There's a talus here, but if you're fast enough, it won't hurt you. You're just going to stick to the left side of the road, basically. That's the talus. The music may start playing, but usually he doesn't wake up fast enough. Anyway, so now you're going to see this rock. You're going to drive across it. You'll probably want to slow down here on your first couple of runs, because there's a really narrow bridge. This narrow bridge. I didn't have to slow down, so I know where it is approximately, but this is kind of, like, you really don't want to fall down there. It takes a long time to get back up. So make sure you're on this bridge solidly. And once you reach the other side, you're going to immediately leave the road to the left and go up this hill. You're going to go over this rock and release A here for a second. Not even a second. So that you don't get too much air. You're going to do the same thing at the top of this hill. You're going to go to the left of this rock formation here. You're going to turn right and then go towards this area. So there's like this shadow here and this like bump. You're going to drive towards that. Now you're going to drive off of the second ledge at this area. You can kind of see it better from up here. There's like this pointy bit here. You're going to drive off that, and now just take a straight line towards the stable and hope you don't get bounced around too much when you land. At the stable, you'll want to turn around, basically a complete U-turn onto the road that goes out this way. You can do that however you want. I prefer to drift because it looks cooler. But it doesn't really matter. Now you're going to want to stay left of the road. Go over here, and you're going to jump. Because this is actually pretty tall. You can't really tell, but this is a pretty tall thing, and you want to jump up it. And don't run into this rock. Now comes rock RNG, which is one of the worst parts of the run, in my opinion. Because rocks, like big boulders, fall down around here. And they're really hard to avoid. So most of the time you can avoid them by sticking left on the road, kind of aiming for this tree over here. They fall somewhere around here usually, right about now. So by sticking left, you can dodge them. Once you have dodged the boulders or not, you're going to want to aim for the edge of this black cliff here. And take a pretty sharp left, not sharp, but take a left around it. Just kind of stick to the edge. You're going to not go that way, you're going to just go towards this rock instead. If you're feeling cool like me, you go to the left of this tree stump thingy, but it's not necessary, it doesn't save any time. And then you're gonna go around this cliff edge. Now you're gonna drive up this slope. Well, I was gonna say a snowy slope. That's not helpful. Then you drive towards this area with like this, where like the rocks get shorter. You're gonna jump, no wheelie, and then jump again to clear the fence. This is kind of hard too. You're gonna want to be holding slightly left the entire time. Sometimes you get stuck on the fence. There's just not a lot you can do about it. And now once you're over the fence, you go to the right side of this fence thingy and drive up this slope here. I'll point that out better. Oh great, Mifa's in the way. You can see it's kind of to the left of the snow chew. That thing spawns all the time, so you can use it as your visual cue. You want to go to the left of it. Right here. Now you're just going to kind of drive back and get back on the road. You can see here's the road. And now you're kind of going to cut the corner to the left. This isn't saving a lot of time, it just kind of feels cooler. So you're going to drive down here. And then once you get to this tree, you're going to go right around it. And now you're going to leave the road again. You're going to head for this really thick tree. It's easy to see. Sometimes you get bad weather here and it's hard to see. But there's this big thick tree. If you can't see the tree, I would recommend... Well, I'd recommend in several areas, but this is the first one. Putting a pin on Snowfield Stable. Because that way you can aim yourself towards it on the minimap. Even if you can't see any visual cues in real life, you can point towards the pin on the minimap with your arrow. And that'll help you navigate. So yeah, you're going to go to the left of this tree. Just very slightly to the left of it. You can actually release A couple of times on this hill because it's pretty steep. It doesn't look like it, but you can release A a little bit to save gas if you want to. Yeah, you should run out of gas somewhere around here. Actually, sometimes you can run out of gas as early as like up here and you're still fine. Anyway, so we're down here. You're gonna run out of fuel. Basically do the exact same refuel technique that I showed you on that bridge earlier. It's always the same. Get back on and then get going again. So you're going to want to be driving just straight towards the stable, which you should be able to see by now. There's kind of this little hill here. It's hard to see. There, now you can see the hill right here. And you're going to want to drive towards the left side of it. And drive off of it into the stable. I like to split as soon as I can see the name appearing. I got a gold. I didn't even notice. Anyway, yeah, now you're going to basically strike straight for this tree, or towards this corner, if you can't see the tree. Yeah, that's just... don't run into the tree. I have run into the tree before, I don't know why. Don't run into this either, this kind of rock thing. It's hard to see, but don't run into that. Here's another hard part. They just keep coming. You're gonna go to the right of this big rock here. Don't worry, you will not fall in the canyon unless you're stupid like me. But, yeah, you're gonna go to the right of this rock. There's plenty of space here. You really shouldn't fall in. Unless you, like, run into the rock, which you can do. Yeah, so you're gonna go around that rock. And then you're going to go... See, there's kind of this angle on this rock. You're gonna go slightly to the right of it. It's kind of hard to see. But... like, right up from where the snow stops, there's this kind of pointy bit. You're going to go to the right of it. And hope you don't fall in the canyon here, because it is very easy to fall in the canyon here. Here's an important concept. It's better to slow down and not bonk or fall in the canyon than it is to fall in the canyon. So, you might want to brake a little bit so that you don't fall, etc. But basically, you're just going to try to make your way along the edge here. Once you reach this area, see there's this first hump, and then the second hump, you're going to drive, take a hard right turn, and jump with no wheelie off of the second hump. I'll show that again. There's first hump, the second hump is here. You're going to jump off of that, land down here, and just kind of get back on a straight course. So the next part is a very difficult technique that is not necessary. I do it because it saves a good 2 or 3 seconds, but you don't have to. So, right here, if you are not doing it, you're going to go to the left of these rocks and just go around and go on your way. So basically ignore the next few minutes of the video, or not few minutes, I don't know how long it'll be. You're going to go to the left of these rocks to get back on the road and then just continue towards Syren Stable. But if you are doing the difficult technique, this is something that's very hard to explain concisely. You're going to turn right, come down here, and you'll see like this rock here and the second rock. You're gonna aim for the second rock and just drive off the cliff. There is a ledge down here. It is big enough to catch you if you do it properly. It's pretty hard to do though. You're gonna want to probably find your own cues for lining this up. But you're gonna want to. What I do is just once I get over here and I can see it, just aim towards this rock and drive off down here. This is another place where it's much safer to hold B and stop all the way when you hit the ground so you don't slide off into the canyon. I didn't have to here because I landed in a pretty good place, but sometimes you land further to the side and you'd want to hold B there to stop yourself. I'll just show it again another few times, I guess. There's something else you're gonna have to deal with, and it's monkey brain. Your monkey brain will say, speedrunner, no drive off cliff. So your monkey brain will probably tell you to drive over these rocks. Don't do it. Absolutely do not do it. Your bike will either bonk or you'll get launched out into the canyon. It's a disaster. If you're already here, you've committed to driving down this ledge, so you pretty much have to. So, there it is. Once you land here, you're gonna want to go towards this area. Here, you'll want to hold slightly left on the stick so you don't fall down too far. And from here, now it's basically the same. If you didn't do that trick, you'll definitely want the minimap pin, since you're going to be a little farther away from the stable. You can just barely see it right there. So I pinned on the minimap Syren Stable. But if you didn't do the jump, you're especially going to want that, because it's really far away from you. You're basically just going to drive straight towards the pin. This is your long, boring area of just straight driving. So I'll kind of fast forward through it. Sometimes it can lightning here, and I have been struck by lightning here several times, so beware of that. Don't kill your run to running into dogs. Yep, alright, here we are at Syren Stable. You're gonna want to aim towards this hill thingy here. There's like a rock and a hill next to the tree stump. You're gonna take a hard left, wheelie once you reach about this area, and jump over the fence. This is kind of difficult. I cleared the fence without hitting it, which is pretty rare. Usually you'll hit it, at least a little bit. But as long as you don't get all the way stuck on it, you're fine. Yeah, so right next to the tree stumps, you're going to go around them, and then wheelie and jump over the fence. I'd recommend practicing that at least a little bit. After that, it should be easy even if the weather is not cooperating. It should be easy to see the shrine up on the hill. So you're going to want to head to the left of the shrine. This is kind of a newer route that I just used in my last couple of runs before getting the record that I'm showing right now. So basically, you're going to head to the left of the shrine, make sure not to run into it. And once you're up here, you're just going to try to make your way up the rocks and over this hill. I don't have a lot to say for this. It's just something you got to figure out. But I would say just don't go too far left or too far right, because the rocks are way less smooth there. Basically, the path that I took is the only one that really works very well. Yeah, so you're just going to go up this hill. Don't get bonked or something. And once you're over the hill, now comes the time for the third mini-map pin. Well, I will show you later in the video where I pin it, because it's kind of specific. But for now, I'll just tell you we drive straight towards that. It's the green one, by the way. I don't do a very good job of driving straight towards it in this video, because I'm dodging like rocks and stuff on the ground. But yeah, I'll just kind of skip through this. Here, you're going to want to hold forward, so that the bike is like parallel to the ground. So you're going to hold forward at least a little bit when you're in the air, so the bike lines up with the ground before you land. Keep going. Bokos on horses spawn here. Sometimes they can shoot you and it will hurt a lot. It doesn't usually knock you off the bike though. So now you'll notice we're driving towards the edge of this big pointy thing. So here is my mini-map pin from earlier. Also, don't get struck by lightning. That was like terrifyingly close. I almost wet my pants on that one. Not really, but... Anyway, so this is the mini-map pin. It goes in this corner here between this thing and like the flat slope that goes downwards. That's the green mini-map pin. It doesn't have to be green on your file. I'm just saying that's what mine is. Once you're here, you're going to hold left slightly and then fall off the cliff. You're going to hope you don't get turned around too bad. If you don't hold left too far, you shouldn't get turned around, but it's always possible. Once you land, you're just going to head straight towards the bridge, and this one I like to split once my tire touches the bridge again. This is kind of a boring part. You just drive on the road But take like the left side of the road, but make sure not to bonk on stuff. This wheelbarrow here can bonk you. It's really evil, so don't run into it. Once you get here, you're gonna drive towards the edge of this hill out here. There's usually Guardian that spawns here, by the way, so I'd recommend killing that Guardian before making your save that you use to run the game with, or run the category with. Because this Guardian can be very rude. So you're gonna aim towards the edge of this hill. There's a decayed Guardian somewhere off the left side of the screen that can shoot you, but he's usually slow enough that he won't notice you, or you can just get away like that. You're gonna go around this cliff, but being careful not to go too close. You can see it's pretty bumpy over here, and you don't want that, so you're gonna go around the bumpy parts. Now you're gonna find this wall. This wall is really rude, also. You're just gonna try to jump over it. I cleared it without touching it, but that's kind of a fluke. Usually I bump into it at least a little bit. You can also go around the wall. It probably won't lose you that much time. You can just go around it. Either way, you're gonna want to end up to the left of this dead Guardian right here. Not that far left. I don't know what that was. And now you're going to aim towards the steps for the sacred ground. So this is a really obnoxious area. It's not that difficult. It's just annoying. So first you're going to jump up the first set of stairs, and then wheelie and jump up the second. Once you're in the center of the sacred ground, you have two options. You can either drive straight forward, just off the end, off the stairs, which is safe, but also can be kind of slow. Or you can do like I did here and wheelie and jump off like that. Or you don't really have to wheelie, but it's a little more consistent, so you're just going to jump off left of the stairs. Either way, you're going to aim for... If it's raining, you're going to aim for this tree, which isn't super precise, but if it's not raining, you're going to aim for like the farthest edge of the castle wall that you can see. You're just going to drive straight towards that. Alternatively, there is a Hyrule Castletown route, but I won't be going over it because I find it to be both incredibly inconsistent and also about 3 seconds slower. But if you're interested in that, I'll link a video in the description, maybe if I can find it, of Castletown route. Anyway, don't get killed by the Guardian. Usually it's pretty easy to dodge if you're smart about it, but sometimes it isn't. You're gonna turn left around this. You're gonna go towards the edge of this pile of rubble. And now you're just gonna kind of... This is another place where it's hard to tell where to go. You're gonna aim for this spot on the minimap, this bridge here. But it's a little hard to line yourself up. Don't worry, this Guardian won't shoot you if you're fast. So you're gonna go here, cross this road. Now you can aim towards this tree, because it's kind of a good place. Once you can see it. You're gonna go off this hill. Make sure you are very far to the left of this Guardian. If you're to the right of this Guardian at all, in between him and the road, basically, his legs will bonk your bike and you will be very sad. So you want to be to the left of him. Anyway, once you go down this hill, this kind of ledge here, the Guardian from back there that's aiming at me right now, he can't see me anymore. So you're safe. You're gonna continue heading towards this tree and get on the bridge. And then you're going to try to basically cut out this big loop of road by just going straight across. If you're here at night, there will be a Stalnox here, so beware of that. Anyway, we're just going to go straight across this island, and then get on the bridge on the opposite side. You'll probably have to refuel somewhere around here. There's actually usually Guardian that spawns about here. I killed that one too before making my save file. Because... if you have to refuel, like, literally anywhere in the general vicinity, it absolutely will shoot you. At the end of this bridge, you're going to turn right in between the pillar and the bridge. It's kind of tight, but it's not as hard as it looks. Now you're going to drive on the beach. I have to refuel somewhere on the beach. Usually my benchmark is this bush that you can't see yet. There's the bush. If I have to refuel somewhere around there, usually I'm good pace. So anyway, we're just going to do the same refuel steps. That wasn't a very fast refuel for me. And yeah, just continue driving along the riverbed, or riverside. You can drive... There's like this rock here. It doesn't matter. It looks like it might kill you, but it does not. You can just drive over it. Now you're going to drive... There's a kind of a gap in the trees where you can see the stable. You're basically going to drive straight towards that gap. It's a little bumpy, but it's better than nothing. And then there's this giant tree root here. Do not jump over the giant tree root. It will hurt you. Just go around it. Here at the stable, sometimes the location name doesn't show up, so if you've had issues with that, you might want to drive a little closer to the stable than I did. But if you get it to usually appear, you can basically stick to the very right side of the road, just go past the signpost like this, and then see the location name, and then go in, but there's this rock here, like this pointy rock, you're going to go to the right of it. Now you're going to drive along towards this big tree, you're going to go to the right of that tree too, or rather the right of this camp. Don't run into the people, they will slow you down. Now you're going to go to the right of this big tree as well. And now you're back on the road, so you're going to cut off this tiny little curve here just by going straight across. For style points, you can drive in between the campfire and the tent, but really it's not actually any faster and has a higher chance of killing the run. Sometimes there's even a person there, which kills your run even faster. You're gonna go around this cliff thingy, and now you're gonna drive towards, like, the point, like, the farthest out point of water. You can drive in, like, very shallow water with the bike, but if you go too deep, you will bonk it and lose it. So you're just going to want to go towards, like, the edge of the water here, and then turn around it. And once again, you want to go towards the edge of the water. It's a little harder to see this time. Sometimes it's even raining, which makes it even harder to see. After this, you're going to kind of just go along the edge of the water and then aim for these trees. Once again, this is style points, what I do here. It's much safer to just drive along the road, basically. But I prefer to instead go in between these trees. It feels cooler. Once again, for style points, you can go behind the sign. It's not any faster, though. And you're going to take the right fork. I said left by accident. It is definitely the right fork of the road. You don't go this way. And now we're entering the hardest section of the run. I've said things were hard before. Zora's Domain is the hardest. This will take you a lot of practice to get good at. Even I'm not that good at it, and I have the world record. Yeah, Zora's Domain can be just a massive pain, and I was very lucky in this run that it was not raining. Because if it's raining, it lags more, and it's more slippery. Anyway, back to the run. So you're going to drive along the road. You're going to go towards, like, this rock area. So there's one rock here and the second rock. You're going to go in between them. You shouldn't have to jump here. If you wheelie at the right time, you can make it up without jumping. But in case it's like, it doesn't lose that much time to jump. But if you wheelie, you shouldn't have to jump. Anyway, just follow the road. Do not run into this rock. It will hurt you. Now get on the bridge. It's the shortest bridge in the game, as far as I can tell. And once again, this is another place where I split as soon as my tire touches the bridge. Alright, first, Zora's Domain hard trip. So we're going to follow the road at first. You're going to swerve out a bit to the right. You're going to go around this square rock here. You're going to aim towards this lighter colored spot, kind of. You're going to wheelie and jump over this. And during the jump, while you're in the air, you're going to be holding left on the joystick to get yourself to turn. If you hit the Octorock, you're too low, basically. So you want to be cutting off as much of this turn as you can. This saves a significant enough amount of time that it absolutely is worth learning. You can go around on the road, though, if you really don't want to. Anyway, so basically, here it is again. Drive around that rock, go towards the light colored area, wheelie, jump to the left, and get back on the road. Like that. I'll just show it a couple more times. This is a pretty specific jump. Very easy to not go far enough and land in the water. Once you're back on the road here, this is another area where it's better to go slightly slower than optimal and not die. So, if you need to, release acceleration, brake, whatever, to get up these turns. This lizard won't hurt you if you're fast. So you're going to go around here. Now to our second hard trick. So once you're past this rock, you can go as slow as you want till you're past this rock. Then you're going to aim towards this, basically towards the bridge, this rock bridge. I'm going to wheelie and jump. So this may seem really stupid. This is a really hard jump. It takes a lot of practice. This one's like probably one of the harder ones. Basically, here, I'll just show it to you in full. Go back, show it again. And you're gonna want to land somewhere around the middle of aim for landing somewhere around the middle of this giant rock. Because if you aim too far to the left, you'll fall, or too far to the right, you'll fall off and have to do it again. If you aim too far to the left, you will fall into the river and you'll cry. Yeah, so you're gonna jump in the middle of the rock, you're gonna slow down temporarily so you can turn so that you don't drive straight into the river. And then you're gonna get on the road on this side. So now here comes probably the easiest jump. As long as you're going fast here and you turn, so you're gonna turn before these trees like this, and you're just gonna jump. You can jump from almost anywhere in between like here, and land almost anywhere between like here, and you're fine. This is a pretty simple jump. Or I find it to be anyway. You're just gonna turn, jump with no wheelie, and then land over here. So now you're gonna continue up the road, making sure not to run into things. I had to jump over this tree because I ended up at a weird angle. But generally, you shouldn't have to do that. Anyway, this is a place you're gonna want to be slowing down a lot. You don't want to slide off this road, you will lose so much time. So you're just gonna continue driving. It is bouncy, you just gotta get used to it. Once you get to this turn, you're gonna leave the road and drive up this. It looks like a cliff, but it's actually just a regular hill. You're gonna hit or not hit the truffle, but go basically right next to it like you're trying to hit it. Go around this rock. You can actually drive across this big flat rock here if you're feeling brave, but it's a little harder, and even I don't do it all that often. Now you're gonna drive up next to this cliff and this cliff, and you're gonna try to stay on the little flat area in between them, like that. This is pretty precise. You can easily bonk on either cliff. Then you're going to go to the right of this outcropping, and down this hill, next to this tree. This is a jump that you absolutely cannot miss. If you don't get it a second try, basically. Or you kind of do, but not really. So, once you're down here, you jump. And you have to make it across here. There's basically, if you have to go around the other way, you're losing such a large amount of time. And it's so bad, you just don't even want to deal with it. So, you have to make that jump across there. Once you're here, then you're going to continue this way. Try not to bonk on the trees. It's hard. There's a lot of trees and not a lot of space. Now you're going to jump across here. You don't have to jump. It's a little bit faster to jump, but you can actually drive over this rock bridge here, and it's almost the same speed. You don't have to worry about that a lot. Now that you land, you're going to drive up here through this tree, and then fall down onto the road. If you're lucky, you'll land in the center of the road. I didn't, so I had to stop. But in general, most of the time you'll land somewhere out here. Here's another hotspot for world loads. So they're supposed to be Lizalfos, they'll load in about now. That was a pretty fast one, but still. You're gonna hope the lizards don't get in your way too much. And you're going to make a sharp left turn and get on this bridge. I split when the location name appears. Now, this is just pretty simple following the road. You're not gonna run into this rock. It's kind of hard not to, but you don't want to do that. Yeah, and then you just follow the road pretty much this entire way. Here, sometimes these things don't load in. This time I was lucky enough that they did, but sometimes they're invisible, and they will kill your run. So you're just gonna kind of want to stay to the left of them. Sometimes there's a lizard down here, and sometimes there isn't. But if there is one down here, you gotta be careful that he doesn't put up his shields. If he does, he'll just stop you in your tracks. I mean, it's RNG, but like, you have to go around him if he puts up his shield. And now, once again, we are following the road. This thing, there's a deer here. Sometimes you have like a really cool view. This is unrelated to the run, but sometimes you have like a really cool view with like the sun behind the deer, because that deer will always spawn on that little hill. Once you get up here, you gotta be prepared for the next really hard trick. You're gonna go kind of not super tight around this corner, so you'll run into the boss if you go too tight. You're gonna aim for like this slope, like this white area. Once you get here, you're going to aim for this cliff and drive forwards, and right at the edge of this, you're gonna jump. You want to land up on this ledge. It's kind of hard to land up here sometimes, but you absolutely need to. You will lose a lot of time if you fall down. Like, you can still make it to where we're going if you fall down, but it is way better if you land up on the ledge, so I'd suggest investing a lot of time into figuring out what angle and what jump timing works for you. So anyway, once you're up here, you're going to drive to about here. There's this, like, second dart spot here, and you're going to drive down the ledge. And now you're going to drive down this cliff. You're just going to hope and pray that you don't get turned around too much, because it's really easy to get turned around. Here I ended up fairly straight and landed on the road not next to the trees, which is pretty much the perfect thing that can happen. You want to be basically pointing this way and not near those trees when you land, and that's perfect. And now you just follow the road to Zora's Domain. You just kind of cut the corners as tight as you can. And next, as soon as, so you're going to drive along here, but as soon as you see the Zora's Domain logo start to appear in the corner down here, you're going to immediately press minus and warp to Akala Tech Lab. You want to do that basically as fast as you possibly can. And I split on the fade out here. Once you've landed, you're going to hold ZL in order to flip the camera around. Then immediately spawn the bike, run over to it, and refuel it. You can use almost anything to refuel here. I just used 5 monster extracts since it was the fastest, because I didn't have a completely empty tank. In the case that you have to refuel before the warp, I would still suggest making sure you're at a full tank after the warp anyway, just because that'll line up your refuels better in the late game. And then gonna drive down this hill. You're gonna go to the left of this rock. The Guardian will not shoot you. You really don't have to worry about it at all. And now you're gonna aim Link's head. It's kind of hard to see because I already put Link's head on top of the tree. But see this, like, red tree here? You're gonna basically put Link's head completely on top of it and just drive down the hill. And just go straight here. If you're a little bit too far, the reason we have to do that is because if you're a little bit too far left, you will fall out of this hole and down the cliff down this way, down to that core rock, which is not what you want. So we aim towards that tree. Once you're past this little hole here, you can see it again, you're going to want to aim towards like this angle. There's like the cliff that goes up here and then that goes this way. You're going to want to aim towards like this one point here. And then you're just going to drive forward. If you did it properly, you should come out into the left of most of the ruins. Well, not that left. In general, you're going to want to go to the right of this pillar, and then around all of these other ruins here. And then once again, you're going to be falling down a cliff and hoping you don't get turned around. Because I didn't get turned around here, but it's very easy to, if you touch it all. So now you can kind of see better what I was talking about before with this angle here. You're just going to go straight towards that. Once you get there, you're going to turn towards where you should probably put your last, or your second to last map pin, which is Terrytown. So you're going to want to put it at the entrance of the Terrytown Bridge, because you cannot see anything up this hill here. So if you can just aim yourself towards the map pin, then you'll know where the entrance to the bridge is. I use this as a visual cue. If I'm left of the Hyrule Herb, I'm usually doing about the right angle. Once you can see this rock, you're going to go towards the right of the rock. And then you should come out basically facing towards the little corner of rock there. You can kind of cut across it if you want to. I didn't here. And you just get on the road. If you did the same time of day as I did, there should be a shadow of the gate. You can see the shadow on the road. And that's my visual cue for when to brake. So as soon as the back tire touches the shadow, you press B to slow down. And then as soon as the town location name shows up, you're going to turn around in place and then leave. If you use a different time of day or no time of day, you'll have to find your own visual cue for that. It's not super important that you go like the minimum distance, but yeah, so basically you just want to go like as little distance as possible into the town and then turn around and leave. And once you're off the bridge, you're going to kind of cut the corner here. Yep, and then you're going to aim towards this pile of rocks towards the left of it and just drive straight. It's kind of boring. Once you're past it, you're going to aim, basically just stick to the left side of all of these rocks here. Oops. Yeah, just stick to the left side of all the rocks. And once you're past here, now you're just going to kind of drive off into the wildlands. You should go to the right of these trees about this far. And you're just gonna kind of go this way and hope. Once you see this thingy, you're just gonna want to line up with like the very edge of this part here. And just drive straight across the grasslands. Actually, once you can see this yellow tree, you're gonna want to aim for the right side of that. And now you're gonna get on this bridge. At the end of this bridge, there's a mysterious thing that bounces the bike. I think it's around here, but I haven't been able to reproduce it very often. Just know that if you drive off the bridge too far to the left, the bike will bounce and it will make you angry. So, beware. You're just gonna drive straight across this little island towards the next bridge. You're gonna stick to the right side of this bridge so you can turn off of it as fast as possible. Once again, turn towards the next bridge, the third bridge, and in this case, I actually split once my tire leaves the bridge. My front tire, I mean. Here, you're just gonna try to drive along this cliff edge, dodging the rocks. So actually, I go to the right of most of the rocks, but this pile, I go in between it and the cliff. And pretty much that's just what it is for the next little bit. You're just sticking next to the cliff, so that you take the inside of the turn, you can see on the map. Don't try to drive over this, you absolutely cannot. Just go back on the road in this area. Then go towards the edge of this rock. And then towards the edge of this pile of rocks. Upcoming is another pretty annoying area. It's not particularly hard, it's just annoying. So you're gonna basically be crossing back onto the road here. As soon as you see it, this like rock knob thing, you should also be able to see where you want to go, which is like the second rock knob, which is a lot lower. Link's head's kind of in front of it, which makes it a little annoying. But here, so you'll see it closer like this. You're gonna turn down and just go off the edge. You're not gonna wheelie or jump or anything. You're just gonna drive off this little rock stub here and down into the canyon. You're just going to hope. You hold A and go forwards and just hope you don't fall down to the lake, because it's very easy, and hope you don't run into something and bonk, because that's also very easy. Like, I got turned around a little bit here, but like that's fine because I didn't lose the run. This kind of, that's just how annoying this is. There's another place you can bonk. It doesn't look like it, but you definitely can. Now you're going to try to go to the left of these trees if you can. And cross the road and then go in between this big rock and this small one, and you're going to fall off here. So now you're going to go to the right of the skull camp. There's like the one grass area here. You're going to go towards that. Then here you're going to swerve left a tiny bit. And then basically let go of A once you've passed this rock. That rock there. And then turn right down this canyon. This is kind of tight. Which is why I say to let go of A. Because that way you slow down enough that you can get down the turn. Once you're down in the canyon, you're just going to aim for the base of this hook. Like the rock hook here, you're just going to aim towards like the base of it down here. There's a secondary route that goes up this way, but it's a lot less consistent for me, and it's also like a tiny bit, it's probably a tiny bit faster, but I can't achieve it that quickly. So I just stick to this route instead. So you're going to go over this hill, and as soon as you're falling in the air, you're going to hold to the right so you don't run into the skull. Now you're going to go towards like this, see this rock, and there's like this one flat area there. Now it's illuminated, you can see it. You're going to go towards that. You're going to jump about here and hope that you go up on this rock. It's kind of inconsistent. I practice this a lot, and I still don't get it every time. But it's a lot better than the alternative. Yeah, so you can see this rock and this sloped area. You're just going to jump about here and go up on the rock. Once you're back on flat ground, you're going to go around this rock. I say rock a lot. All the visual cues are rocks. You're going to drive up this hill. This hill's kind of bumpy. It doesn't look like it, but it can definitely throw you off. And once you're up here, you're going to try to stay on the grass as much as possible. Once you get here, you're just going to go off down here. Like that. Hope that doesn't happen to you. That's really bad. In general, you should actually be able to stay going straight. And then once you're off the hill, no matter what happens, you're going to go out basically towards the road on your minimap. This should look familiar. We've already been here before. Now you're going to drive towards like the edge of this pointy slope thingy here. and turn and get on the bridge as soon as you can, basically. Like, so take as tight of a turn as you can towards the bridge. You're gonna cross the bridge and pretty much immediately leave the road again. So you're going to turn up this hill. There's this kind of like V-shaped area. It's kind of small, but like right up here, there's this V. That's what you're aiming for. You want to drive towards that. Or a little to the left of it, because this rock here can screw you over. But once you're past it, you're basically aiming for that area. And once you get to that area, you're going to jump over it with no wheelie, and then hold left and go down this hill. Shot keys don't usually spawn here, so, and I prefer to go to the right of the tree when they don't, but if it does spawn there, you can go to the left of the tree and usually dodge it. You're going to go around this pile of rocks, and then underneath this thing, there's another shot key that I wasn't expecting. Luckily, it's far enough out of the way that it's not a problem. You'll go underneath this, and you're going to jump over the gray part. The gray part is unexpectedly bouncy, and it will throw you off, so you're going to jump over it. I'm going to go down here. I had to refuel in like a really good spot, which is on the road here. But sometimes you can have to refuel back here, like next to this slope, and it's really obnoxious. Or even up here too, which can be kind of annoying. So anyway, once you're down here, so you do the refuel. And then you will drive up here, drive over these rocks that aren't as bouncy as they look. Drive over this flat area, basically aiming straight towards the stable on your minimap. And then you're going to jump over this, because that is way bouncier than it looks. I got pretty lucky with this hill, but it can be pretty rude sometimes. And I'm just going to head straight towards this stable, which is a lot farther than it looks sometimes. Alright, so once you're here, this segment, all the way from here until Kakariko Village, is probably my least optimal segment. Just because of, like, the angles I take to do things. So, be aware that you could probably find a better path for this than I did. So what I did is I immediately swerved to the left after this fence, jump over that tree root, and basically just drive straight out of the forest. Making sure, like, I'm not running into any of those rocks or anything. And then, since it was raining, I just aimed directly for the blue pin, since I couldn't really see anything else, which isn't typically a great idea because my blue pin isn't in a good place. But I had to aim for it because I couldn't see much. Now that you can see it closer, there's kind of like a rock outcropping here. If it's not raining, you're going to want to aim for like the edge of this rock pile from after the forest, basically. So if you can manage to do that, that's the best thing to do. You're gonna turn left like a little bit around it. Once again, I went way too far left, and I typically do that in most of my runs here. You don't have to go this far left, it's probably faster not to. But I did, so. Anyway, you're gonna want to go around this rock either way. Now you're gonna head towards this hill for the infamous Kakariko Skip, which was originally discovered as a ridiculously precise trick, and then I figured out that you can actually just drive up anywhere on this hill. So you're basically just going to go towards this hill and drive up it. And that's all it is. And then you're going to stick to the edge of the cliff, basically as close as you feel comfortable going. Make sure you don't fall off here, because it actually curves inwards a bit. It may not look like it, but it definitely does. And now you're just going to go down towards the village and start turning around whenever you think you're ready. I waited until the village name appeared, but you can actually turn around a bit earlier and still trigger the village name. Anyway, you're going to turn around however you see fit, and then go back up this hill and to the left. This is an easy place to get lost, so I'd make sure you know where you're going. You're going to go around this cliff here, and like in between it and the next pillar. And now you're going to kind of go up this hill, because you basically want to be going straight towards the edge of this bridge on the minimap. So you're going to go basically straight towards that, fall down, and then fall down again. You're going to want to use the paraglider to catch yourself right before you fall to the ground. And then wait. So here's something crucial. You're going to wait for the bike to despawn, and then a little bit afterwards to try to spawn it. If you try to spawn the bike too early, it will not spawn, it'll just cancel the rune. I don't know why. But, yeah, so you're gonna wait a little bit to spawn the bike, and then sprint over, get on. Now you're going to drive up to this bridge, do a wheelie, and jump to avoid as many of the stairs as you can. I still got gimped by the stairs, it kind of sucked. Usually I can do a little better than that, but it's kind of hard. Now you're gonna stick to the right side of this bridge to avoid the rubble. And at the end, you can either go down the stairs, or you can take the incredibly risky and not saving any time strat and jump over the handrail. It's actually not super difficult, but if you screw it up, you're really screwed. So anyway, I jumped over the handrail. It's not like it saves a lot of time. Now you're just gonna basically drive forward. You're gonna leave the road next to this tree. And drive. You want to be on the opposite side of this little hill from the road, basically. As soon as you can see it, you want to aim towards the right of this tall wall, like this ruined wall. You're gonna go to the right of it. Go to the left of this tree. This would be easier if it wasn't raining, because you'd already be able to see the entrance to Fort Hiteno from here. But basically, you want to go straight towards that while dodging guardians and rocks and stuff. Alright, we're in the final stretch. You're gonna stick to the right of that tree, then just go straight here, without running into this rock. And then turn around it, taking all the turns as tight as possible. This is a hard one. Sometimes you can go into the water, and it seems like it's not too deep, but it definitely is. So I just skim the very edge of the water here. You just drive up the road, past the Yiga. And once you're here, you can see this like pretty iconic gap in the cliff. You're gonna drive straight towards it and wheelie and jump. You're gonna get up on this hill. You can either go straight forwards or turn to the left. I went left. It's not necessarily the fastest, but it's what I did by accident. Once you're up here, either way, you're going to drive straight forwards, basically. And then go down next to these trees, staying on the white part of the hill so you don't hit the trees. Here, you could actually elect to go around this pit. It's way safer to like stay on the higher green area. But I went down because it cuts the corner a little tighter. You're gonna go down. You go up that. Now, you'll aim for like the edge of this hill here. You can kind of see the edge of this hill as a cliff. Just gonna go straight towards that. Here you can hold forward a lot of the time to avoid bouncing. Once you're at the top of this hill, you're going to go to the left of the tree, and you probably want to jump over the tree root, like I did, because it can screw you over really easily. Now here is objectively the worst trick in the run. It's literally just a fence jump like we did back at Syren Stable, but it can and will kill your run right at the end, and it's so annoying. So basically, my strategy to make it more consistent is you can see this rock stub here. I go up next to that. I wheelie basically right as I'm leaving the white part and getting onto the grass. And then I jump over it. The optimal strat is to get bumped a tiny bit so you're facing like basically towards the blue flame. You can kind of see the blue flame a little bit in this clip. You want to be facing towards that. I got turned a little bit farther to the right than optimal, but it wasn't actually that bad. Anyway, so yeah, you wheelie and then jump over this fence. You don't want to get turned that far right, but it's really inconsistent. Anyway, once you're in the field, you're going to turn towards the blue flame, basically. Just go towards the end of this fence. Go around the tree, make sure not to hit the NPCs. You go in between the signpost and that, because it's basically it's way faster to not go around it. And now you're on the final stretch. You're just going to try to take this turn as tight as possible without falling down the cliff, which is pretty difficult. I have lost runs to falling down the cliff, so I like to stay closer on the green part. Anyway, you're going to go around here, and I like to run into the sign because it bonks the bike, which gets you off of it most efficiently. And the timing ends when Link is off of the bike and you're at the location. So that's why I like to bonk it, because there you go. I ended the timer pretty early myself, but yeah, so you want to bonk the bike on this. And that's the end of the run. So this was actually the first sub 37 run. Their sub 37 minute run. Caused a blood moon. Lots of funny things happen at the end of a bike challenge run. And yeah. So that's Hyrule Bike Challenge. It's a pretty fun run overall, I'd say. If you're watching this, you're already interested in running it, so I can't recommend that you run it more. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you need any help, you can ask in the Category Extensions Discord, which is linked in the description, and I will probably come to help you. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.